What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Pancis. If it's your first time tuning in, please be sure to smash that subscribe button. I'm gonna do a shout out to my neighbor Owen and his channel Doggy Dog. Oh, Doggy Dog, he's been begging me. He's like building up a channel, young kid. So shout out to you, brother. I'll send this to you when this goes live. Anyways, we're here with my '99 Saab 9.3 Viggen. We're gonna drop the oil pan in this video, and we're gonna redo the valve cover and valve cover gasket, and we're gonna redo and upgrade the ventilation kit, the things that should have been done on this car and also need to be done on this car. So let's hop into this, and I'll show you exactly what's going on so far before we even get into anything. So as you guys can see, we have the whole car taken apart. I went ahead the other night and spent like a half hour, because it's really all it takes to just prepare for the oil pan removal, which includes dropping the exhaust off the turbo here. You guys can see it's all loose down here, and moving this stuff out of the way, unplugging the O2 sensors. I already started to prepare for taking off the valve cover, which we're gonna do later in this video. And then underneath, I went ahead and removed all the plastic trays, which we're gonna clean up, drained all the oil, and I let the oil drain and drip for the last 2 days, because all that oil sits in the pan and the bottom of the motor. And when I go to pull the pan down, all that oil will start to drip all over the floor. So when I give it a few days to just drip out like I did here, it hopefully mitigates any excess mess of oil just dripping everywhere. It should all be in the bottom of the pan or dripped out at this point. So that's good. So everything's kind of organized. Like I said in another video, this plastic shield, I took off most of it on this side. Just kind of button this up here temporarily, just to keep some room. I already removed the subframe bolt here to this. This has to get pulled down to make room over to pull the pan down. So the pan literally in like 10 minutes is ready to come out. Literally. So once we get the pan down, I ordered off of eSaabparts.com their kit, which is the best. It gives you all of the seals, including the O-ring for the oil pan drain plug. So these seals are for the sump pump, the oil trap housing, which we'll be replacing in this video, and the internal cross member feed tubes. So all the seals for inside the oil pan are right here. Fresh gasket maker. Here we have our new ventilation kit, which we'll have to like research and make sure we don't mess up when we install it. But there's the new trap. Here's the new oil cap filler. This little nipple here on the side is how you know if the upgrade has been done, which we don't have on our current setup. Got a lot of brake clean in, $3.50 per can. I bought off Amazon. I'll link it below. Need that for this job, but also now I have a stock of it, which is great. And then I also ordered fresh covers once again, like I did on the last Viggen, for the side skirts. So we'll get these painted up. One is missing. That one's kind of beat up a little bit. The backs are fine, but that's okay. So this is the update for you here before we get in. So in today's video, hopefully we're gonna get to the trap. We're gonna get definitely the oil pan, and then we're gonna remove this valve cover. We're gonna, sand this all down and repaint it as well, and freshen up everything. So all of the seals on the motor should be good, and get this engine to prime situation here. So let's hop into it. So I'm gonna get the oil pan down finally. See what kind of sludging we got here. So far, not so bad. Let's see what's underneath the sump pump. Moment of truth, boys, girls. Nothing. Clean. That's a very good sign. Unless somebody was in here before me. I guess the other way to tell if somebody was in here before me is to see how these seals are. This is pretty clean in here. Very, very good. All right, guys, so here's the cross feed tube with the seals. They're definitely flat and aged, so it's good that we're doing this. They're still rubbery. So I guess I have a feeling somebody's been inside this oil pan just based on what I'm seeing, but it's definitely been a while, and we definitely don't have an upgraded ventilation system for the oil trap. So all these things play a role. These are definitely not original to the car, so that's a good thing. I think the only thing that saved this car from blowing itself up with the old ventilation system is the fact that somebody has definitely been in here cleaning the oil pan out and replacing these seals. I mean, this is rubbery here. You guys just saw that break apart very easily. See? These things turn into like plastic. So definitely good that we're getting in here. We definitely saved this motor, keeping it healthy here. So everything is nice and cleaned up. This is all good. So we're gonna start to reassemble everything. I'm just going to clean the bottom of the oil pan, or the bottom of the engine, so the oil pan can go on with a fresh seal, and I'll keep you guys updated. But I'm going to go ahead and put new seals on this and put this oil pan back together. There you guys have it. The oil sump is back in, and I'm just going to put this pan cover back on and get to the engine. Okay, guys. Just to bring you up to speed here, since I stopped filming, just to get things rolling. Oil pan's back in, secured, cover's back on. I'm gonna leave the exhaust to the side for now until I get the PVC system, just so I can have easier access. Fresh oil filter, everything's back. Put the subframe bolts back in. I took all 3 out on this side, or 2.5 of them out, just to drop that, get the leverage around the transmission there. But yep, there you guys have it, nice and cleaned up. Completely degreased. When we're done and we can pull the car outside, I'll degrease the subframe and the trans and get everything else cleaned up here. But for now, fresh oil pan, all new seals, and we're gonna get started here on the valve cover now because I'm limited on time on Sunday. Got family stuff to do this afternoon, so we're gonna knock this thing out, pull this thing off, sand it down, fresh paint, let it dry, new gasket, and put it back together. And I have a seal for the crank, for the main crank over here. So if I notice it's leaking, I'll take a look. But we can do that another day if I need to. Very easy. But for now, I'll take care of this and see if I have time to get to the ventilation system today. If not, it'll be another day. So let's hop into this. I'll just take this off and have you guys come along with the sanding and clean up. All right, guys, top of the motor looks good too. Whoever put this gasket on loaded it up. Oh, look at that, it's even broken. That's why this thing was leaking so much. Probably Nick didn't put it on properly. Anyways, it's probably just old too, so. So top of the engine looks good. Chain looks nice. Pretty happy with this engine. I was a little worried, but we look like we're in decent shape. So I'm gonna clean up this old gasket here. They got gasket maker all over this. Or no, that's a broken gasket. This thing was cooked, completely cooked. And I don't put gasket maker in on the valve cover gasket because that's not what you're supposed to do. So I gotta clean this all up, and then we'll get to sanding and paint. Alright gang, here is the valve cover. I did it all off camera just because I have limited time. I'm actually going to pause for the rest of the day here, but painted, and then I taped around the letters there and sanded it back down, so it was kind of close to OEM. Pretty close to good, pretty close to perfect. I also went ahead, I have the old trap system out, so I just need to work on what this looks like. I remember seeing it on a video or diagram, so work on that and then we'll finish it up. The other thing is while I was working, I got the new struts in, ordered them from Rock Auto here. So new strut cartridges, so another day's project for us. Stay tuned guys, we'll keep updated here. Alright guys, I did it off camera just because it's not stuff to really see because it's hard to show the camera action, but got the valve cover painted back on there. You can see came out pretty good. A couple imperfections here and there, but I would say it looks a million times better than what it was. The breather oil trap system is updated. We got all the hose rerouted. I redid the vacuum line there with the check valve in the center. So that's all put back together. You guys can see how nice this is coming together. And I think the last thing I'm gonna try to do in this video is, since we have access to it, is I'm gonna pull that crank off and replace the seal behind there. So all seals on the engine have been replaced. And then on order, we have lower control arms. I got the outer axle on its way here because this is all, I don't know, aged, beat up, so we're just gonna replace it. Not that big of a deal. And then this is all moist here from that strut leaking out. That strut is completely shot. So once this thing's back outside, I'll take this wheel off and we will do like a heavy degrease, clean this thing up because it should no longer be leaking once we're finished here. But yeah, top of the engine looking phenomenal. Everything's coming together nicely here. Fresh valve cover gasket, and like I said, we'll clean up all this grease here too when we're ready to make this thing freaking nice. I got two more hoses. This is the hose that comes off the valve cover. This thing was like real mushy here and sticky and old, so I figured I'd just for a few bucks replace it. So we got fresh rubber for that one, and it was the same thing for this drain plug here. This goes to the this goes from the drain. This is the return drain, return tube from the bottom down to the pan. So we got a fresh one there as well. So we're gonna install these. And then the last thing I'm gonna do in this video, because it's gonna wrap up all of the engine seals, is we're gonna do the crank. We're gonna pull the crank off and replace the seals there, since we have some here. Got this and the outer ring. So just, I don't know if it's leaking, but just since we're here and we're redoing all the seals and making sure this thing's not leaking any oil, we're gonna go ahead and do it. All of the oil that I was noticing on top of the motor here, I think is just because that valve cover gasket originally, like I showed you earlier in this video, was cracked and not installed properly. So it had all that extra oil blow by, causing major leaking. So that should be resolved now. So I'm just gonna quickly install fresh hoses here, put the trap back on, the oil trap, and then we'll just hop right into this crank. I've secured everything on the top here, back in place from the oil pan stuff. Hoses are on. I pulled the belt off. I pulled the bolt out on the crank. Sorry, I did this off camera, but sometimes it's just easier for me. But here's the moment of truth. We're gonna pull this off and see if we're leaking. It appears to be that there is a little bit of oil on the outer ring there. So that is a good thing. We're gonna be replacing that. So I'm gonna pull that out. Some oil will drip down. But like I said, we're redoing all the seals, right? Oil pan, crank seal, valve cover seal. The rest of them should be good. But yeah, we're gonna clean this up here and then reinstall fresh seals here. I always like to pull this off while it's still installed because it's easier to get around it without damaging. There you go. Some oil leaking. And now I'll get this circlip off on the housing and pull that whole thing off. A little bit of a struggle getting that circlip out, but we got it. Oil pump looks all right. See, the grooves look good in there. All right, guys, we got fresh oil in there, fresh oil filter, got the crank and the pulley all back together, the belt. We got fresh breather hose system for the oil trap. We got the exhaust back together, even though it's leaking. But here it goes. We're gonna just turn this thing on, pull it out, and then we're gonna degrease the motor and try to clean it up a bit. Guys, here goes the first start. Oil pressure lights off. Little noisy exhaust, right? Okay, I don't want that to heat up, because I want to degrease the motor. So let's do that. Didn't look like any oil was leaking there, so that's a good thing. Let's rock it out. This gunk foamy cleaner. I'm gonna just let it soak on the whole engine and clean everything. see what we're looking like underneath. Give us a few minutes to drip down. You can see it's working its magic, all the dirt coming down. That's good. Probably gonna replace the serpentine belt at some point. Yep. Alright guys, this thing's been running for about 10 minutes. I'm going to try to show you a before clip of the engine sound. Engine had a little bit of a distinct ticking noise on the top of the motor here, which, as you guys can hear now, is completely gone. The engine sounds perfect. Accessory fans are working. The AC is not running right now, but like I said, it's been sitting and running to dry up. Sounds amazing in there. I'm gonna turn it off momentarily. Obviously there's enough oil pressure to cause a leak, and as you guys can see there, we're not leaking anything. Everything looks really dry all around this valve cover, so that's a good thing. I'm gonna order the exhaust because I just confirmed what it needs, and I'm gonna turn this off for now. Okay, I'm gonna raise up the car here again. I just spent some time cleaning, degreasing everything. Driveway too. All right. Take a peek on the side of the motor here. Like I said, 10 minutes. The moisture that's gonna be left here will be on anything except the motor. But you guys can see the valve cover, or the timing chain cover here, is nice and dry. I don't see any fresh oil leaking anywhere, which is what we want to see after doing all of that work. Even on the side of the motor here, everything looks good. So, from what I can tell, I mean, we haven't really driven the car, but from what I can tell, if I were to go high speeds, so on and so forth, you know, 10 minutes of oil pressure, you know, you're still going to run 40 psi at least of oil pressure, maybe not, if not more, with fresh oil. So we would be seeing some fresh leaks. And there you guys have it. Valve cover, the oil pan here. Obviously we got moisture on the anything but the motor, but no oil coming down or even dripping on the anywhere. Anyway, I don't even want to go under there because I don't want to get wet, but it looks completely dry now of oil. So that was a mission complete. I am going to put this rim back on, and I'm going to put the car back in the garage, And let me show you what's next video. So in that box right there on the right, the long box, is the strut cartridges. So we're gonna be doing struts, the shock strut, you know. You guys can see over here, this boot, this rubber here on the control arm looks a bit shot, and the sway bar links are a bit old. This side of the lower control arm looked fine, so I'm leaving it for now unless I find out that it's bad. But in the next video, we're gonna take care of the shocks. We're gonna take care of the lower control arm for the passenger side, new sway bar links, and I'm still waiting for it. Didn't arrive just yet, but I'm going to be replacing the outer axle and the CV joint on the passenger side, because if you guys notice, the boots are all off, and obviously that means dirt and debris has been exposed to all of the gears in those. So I'm just gonna replace it. It wasn't that expensive to replace this outer part here, so when we have the strut out, we'll be knocking that out. So everything will be new and fresh. I mean, this car is going to be like new when we're done with it. As you guys know on the channel, when we get these cars and do these things, I wanna make sure it's good. I enjoy doing this as a hobby. It's a lot of fun for me. And this one in particular, this Saab, is actually really cool. I am going to sell this car, as you guys might know. I already have a few people interested, but I'm going to regret that. This is the car. This is definitely a Saab that everybody in the Saab world would want. It's the color, it's the spec, it's everything if you want a Viggen. So, I mean, it's just the way this goes. I'm sure I'll find another one at some point. I will pay a premium for it, but this car here, as you guys can see, is going to be just right, just perfect. So after we do the suspension stuff, we're pretty much done with all of the mechanics. I'm gonna do the exhaust, cat back, and then the last thing to finalize this car is paintwork and bodywork. So that's pretty much the to-do list. I mean, it's a lot of time, a couple weeks, if I can find the time. So I squeeze it in when I can. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm gonna put this rim back on. I'm gonna pull her in the garage, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay tuned.